How you doing? Bobby Durkins here. Thanks so much for joining me. I sure do appreciate it. As I preview the first round of the college football playoff, it will actually be the second game on December the 29th in Miami, Florida, at Hard Rock Stadium between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Oklahoma Sooners. I'm really looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be interesting because of the whole Heisman Trophy thing. You got the old coach who is probably one of the greatest coaches to ever coach anything, whether you like him or not. Then you got this young whippersnapper over here who's just absolutely tearing it up. Before I go any farther, if you don't know me, now you do. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can be introduced to this craziness any day of the week as many times as I come on here. Go ahead and do that. I sure do appreciate you being on here. So let's jump right in. Look, we all know about Alabama. And we have a pretty good idea about Oklahoma. In the preseason, I did when we were back in like July and we had nothing but soccer. God, that was awful. Lord, I'm getting depressed. Anyway, I did a preview and I said that Oklahoma had a great chance of running the table and making the college football playoff. And lo and behold, they did. Alabama, we knew that was going to happen. Well, what are the talking points for all of us who knows the team? We know the big names like Tua and Kyler Murray, and we know the coaches, but we want to learn a little more about them. We want to break down some numbers. It's what you need to know. First of all, both teams are incredible at scoring. There is no short of talent on these two teams being able to play. They know what they're doing. I mean, it's just like somebody who knows how to rob a good store. They get in, get the money, and get out. So that's what they do with their offenses. For instance, Oklahoma's averaging 49.5 points per game. Alabama, on the other hand, 47.9. So basically 48 points per game. All right? Let's do that. Let's just stick with that. The defense, big problem. Like bad. It's like saying, hey, we've got a boat. We can get off this island before the hurricane gets here. We do. One problem. There's a big old giant hole in the back. We'll just lay Mama over that and let her fill up the hole, and maybe we can float across to safety. That's the problem with Oklahoma's defense. Now, I know Lincoln Riley, he hired his old head coach, who hired him at Eastern Carolina, Ruffin McNeil, to run the defense, and the defense has looked somewhat better. I mean, I'll have to hand it to him. It's also the first time that a Stoops has not been in a bowl game for Oklahoma in years. You know what I'm saying? It's neither here nor there, but that is the big question. I'm going to go ahead and tell Alabama fans something that you need to hear and you need to know. Last year, everybody, including myself, believed that Georgia was just going to go out there, they were going to look at Oklahoma and say, look, we ain't impressed, and we're going to stop you. And we thought they would do it. Guess what happened? Had to go into overtime, and it was an extremely high-scoring game. I'm telling you, Lord, it was like they were racing up and down with their pants on fire, back and forth. And the reason why was because Oklahoma's offense just happened to be a lot better than what Georgia, even any of us, could have imagined. I'm going to tell you this, Alabama. You are the favorite to win the game. I mean, we all know that. I'm not contesting that one bit. But if you think you're just going to walk in there and win this game without a fight, even though their defense is basically like mannequins with jerseys, you got something else coming to you. I believe, and this is what I think, I believe that Oklahoma is actually going to play way better than even maybe I think they will. Here's the reason why. We both know about Kyler Murray. We know he won the Heisman Trophy. We know there are certain people that thinks it's horrible. They think Tua was robbed. Tua, here's the deal with the Heisman Trophy. It really don't matter. I know I just blasphemed the gods of college football. It really doesn't matter. Right? Right. Kyler Murray's fine. He's already a millionaire. I don't know if some of y'all don't realize that. He's actually better off than everybody except for like some of the coaches that's coaching this game. He's already a millionaire. He's already did his thing. He's good. Does come out with 4,053 yards, 40 touchdowns total. 7 interceptions. He did throw 7 interceptions. I'm going to tell you right now, I've watched him play. I've heard a lot of people make fun of his height. Oh, he's only 5'10". That 5'10" guy is a pack of dynamite. Crazy good. Tua, 3,353 yards, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. We know he's battled some injuries, the whole ankle thing. Of course, they have Jalen Hurts, who's probably going to transfer after this season's over. He'll be able to. He's graduating. That's probably one of the big reasons he stuck around, too. He's graduating. But Jalen Hurts is back there. That's one thing Bama also has on them, is that somebody with experience who could start for anybody sitting behind them. Let's go on to the running game. Running game, we all know who the Alabama running backs are. I mean, you start off with Damian Harris, 771 yards, 7 touchdowns. His numbers are lower because he's having to spread them between 2 and 3 other backs. Najee Harris and Josh Jacobs. Those guys go start anywhere tomorrow. We all know about them. For most of us, especially in the South, we really don't know about Kennedy Brooks. Kennedy Brooks is not some massive name that's just jumping off of billboards and, hugging models and kissing hands and shaking babies. But the guy did rush for 1,021 yards and 12 touchdowns. You need to know about that. Wide receiver core. Marquise Brown can play football for Oklahoma. This guy can catch it, and CeeDee Lamb he's a highlight reel waiting to happen. I'm telling you right now, really, really good. On the offense, or on the wide receiver side for Alabama, you have Jerry Judy. Some of y'all don't get that, but if you've watched Andy Griffith, you do. Jalen Waddle and Henry Ruggs III. I've always wanted like a third, a second, or a hyphen name. I don't know if that's ever going to happen for me or not, but there we go. Explosive. Nobody is going to say that either one of these offenses is not that good. And I'm going to tell you this. I'm hard on and rough on the Big 12, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, Oklahoma's offense is legit. Let's get to the defense. It's like reading an obituary. On the defense, for Oklahoma, you have Kenneth Murray. Very talented. Very talented. Curtis Bolton, Darnell or Parnell, can't read my own writing, Motley, and Ronnie Perkins. Guys can play. They can play. Problem is, they've had issues. We all know about that. On the Alabama side, Dylan Moses, Isaiah Buggs, Christian Miller, Mack Wilson, Savion Smith, Quentin Williams. I mean, ridiculous. Crazy talent. Here's what I'm going to say about this, just kind of, bring this thing to some type of synopsis, if we want to say it that way. We can talk about strength of schedule. We can talk about some games that raised our eyebrows. Probably one of the biggest eyebrow-raising games for all of us is when Army almost beat Oklahoma in Norman. We found out the Army is a little better than what they've normally been. And I'm not saying they're anything to write home to mama about, but in this case, they actually been pretty good this year. Alabama's probably sick and tired of hearing about this, but think about this. Citadel had them tied at the half 10-10. Of course, I know they pulled away and they ended up beating them like the little military school that they are, sent them back to Charleston, South Carolina. But think what they did. That does expose some problems. Saban was mad after the Arkansas game because Arkansas put up 31 points against him. Who cares if he put in his second or third string? In his mind, that was not supposed to happen in a million years, but it did happen. I don't really put much into that game. The Citadel game is a little more eyebrows raising. You can say they're looking next week against Auburn. I don't know. Here's the deal. I believe Alabama is going to win this ball game. It's not because I'm going with what everybody else is saying. It's just because I believe Alabama is going to win this ball game. Between you and I, if Oklahoma brought in a better defense, like it or not, there'd be a bigger problem. But I will tell you this, and I'm ending this video on this because I think it's the most important part. If you think that Oklahoma is going to go in there and just lay down and die and just be glad to be there and shake Alabama's hands and get some autographs, you're wrong. I think they're actually going to come out and play much closer than what everybody else is thinking. And if this thing does get into a shootout, watch out because Oklahoma can hang. Just ask Georgia last year. Well, I'm Bobby Durkins. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm actually calling a shootout. I'm going to give you a prediction barring any injuries, incarcerations, or anybody getting caught and properly touching a goat. I believe Alabama's going to win this ball game 41-38. Yes, 41-38. I call it. Bama wins. So take that home, put it in the bank, maybe draw some interest off of it. Thank you for joining me. Hit the subscribe button. You can find me on Twitter at B Durkins, and you can find me on Instagram at the Bobby Durkins. Thank you so much for joining me. Remember, you keep showing up. Lord knows I'll keep showing out. Bobby Durkins.